We see news headlines every day, and they usually feel like these separate, isolated events. But what happens when you start piecing them together? Well, they tell a much bigger story. In this explainer, we're going to connect the dots from late 2024 and early 2025 to build a snapshot of India, a nation that is, without a doubt, in rapid motion. So let's dive in and see what that picture really looks like. We're going to kick things off in May 2025 with a headline that really grabbed everyone's attention: Operation Sindar Darshan. Now, this was a major military operation, a very clear signal of India's defensive posture and its capabilities. It's a powerful, assertive moment, for sure. But it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting. You take that military strength and you put it right next to a completely different kind of global power. Look at this number, $129.1 billion. That's how much money was sent home to India in 2024, the highest in the world. This isn't about tanks or jets. This is about the incredible economic influence of Indians all across the globe. So on one hand, you've got military might. On the other, you've got this massive economic influence. But you know what's quietly powering both? A huge push into technology and innovation. Which really makes you wonder, are we seeing the start of a whole new era of future tech in India? And that question leads us right into our first big theme: how India is literally building for tomorrow, laying down both the physical and the digital foundations for its future. So let's ask that question. How does a nation actually literally build its future? I mean, it's not just about policies on paper, right? It's about concrete and steel. It's about fiber optics and silicon chips. Let's take a look at some of the absolutely monumental projects taking shape. And the sheer scale here is just staggering. We're talking about things like the Chenab Bridge. I mean, it's not just the world's tallest railway bridge. It's a critical, all-weather link to the Kashmir Valley, completely changing the game for regional connectivity. Then you've got the Vizhinjam Seaport, India's first fully automated deep-water port. This allows the world's biggest container ships to dock in India for the very first time. And, crucially, a new semiconductor unit. A massive step towards self-reliance in the one technology that pretty much powers everything. Believe me, these aren't just projects. They are major national statements. But this construction boom isn't just physical. A parallel digital infrastructure is being rolled out with something called DigiPin and Dhruva. Think of it like this. DigiPin is your permanent, unique digital ID number, like a digital fingerprint. Dhruva is your unique digital address, pinpointing your exact location. Put them together, and you get a system where every single person in every place has a simple, verifiable digital coordinate. And this isn't just about getting your mail faster. This is the foundation for everything from emergency services to e-commerce, even in the most remote parts of the country. And that's the key point, right? This foundation, both the physical and the digital, is what makes a new wave of innovation possible. This huge build-out isn't the end goal, it's the launch pad. Let's see how it's paving the way for some truly cutting-edge technology. The pace here is just remarkable. You see a new facility for BrahMos missile production, a big boost for homegrown defense. At the very same time, new hubs are popping up to pioneer quantum computing. We're talking about the next frontier of technology. And in green tech, India's first indigenous plant to convert CO2 from factory smoke into cleaner methanol fuel is now up and running. Defense, deep tech, and green energy, all surging forward at once. Of course, none of this happens in a vacuum. You need a powerful economic engine and a clear governance strategy to make it all work. And that brings us to our second theme, the financial and policy drivers that are fueling all these ambitions. And the backdrop for all of this is a really strong economic tailwind. Projections for India's real GDP growth for the 2024-25 fiscal year went as high as 6.8%. That makes it one of the fastest-growing major economies on the planet. This is the kind of growth that gives you both the resources and, honestly, the confidence to invest on such a massive scale. So to see how that investment turns into actual policy, you just have to look at the union budget for 2025-26. The total expenditure is projected at over 50 lakh crore rupees. I mean, it's a number so huge it's almost hard to wrap your head around, but that is the engine funding everything we're talking about. Now, this massive spend is fueled partly by significant borrowing from the market, all while the government tries to walk this tightrope of keeping the fiscal deficit at a target of 4.4% of GDP. It's a real high-stakes balancing act between spending for growth and keeping the finances stable. Now, for taxpayers, the budget delivered one key change. While the old tax regime was left completely untouched, the newer, simplified regime got even simpler. They removed its pretty complex seven-tier structure. This really points to a continued effort to make the whole tax system simpler and more rational. And you can see that high-level policy transiting directly into action on the ground. A new national cooperative university is being set up to professionalize a huge part of the rural economy. The PM Kisan scheme was launched to give agriculture a boost, and the rules were changed to allow 100% foreign direct investment in companies that invest in India, basically signaling that the doors are wide open for global capital. All of this brings us to our third theme: India's role on the world stage. How is all this activity at home shaping how it engages with the rest of the world? That's through both partnership and, of course, military preparedness. This quote from the SIPRI report really puts things into sharp focus. Between 2019 and 2023, India was the world's #1 arms importer. What that tells you is that there's a massive ongoing effort to modernize its military, which is a key part of its foreign policy and national security strategy. But this push isn't just about buying from others, it's about developing advanced, homegrown stuff. And if you look at a timeline from just a few months, it's pretty revealing. You've got a new nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine, which is a huge deal for the nation's strategic deterrent, a successful scramjet engine, that's a super advanced engine that basically breathes air to fly at more than 5 times the speed of sound. Then you have a new naval anti-ship missile and an advanced surface-to-air missile. The pace of development is just relentless. But hey, defense isn't just about the hardware. It's also about partnerships. This table gives you a quick snapshot of the sheer breadth of India's joint military exercises. You've got special forces training with the US in Vajra Prahar, naval exercises with Singapore and Oman, and army drills with Kazakhstan. It's a whole web of strategic alliances that spans the entire globe. And to complement that military diplomacy, there's a huge push on the economic and regional front. We saw 7 new agreements signed with Sri Lanka, a landmark trade deal with the European Free Trade Association, and India taking the chair of the Colombo process, a really key forum for managing overseas employment. This is the soft power side of its global strategy in action. Okay, for our final section, let's shift gears. We're going to move away from policy and power and tune into the nation's pulse, those moments in culture, sports, and society that really captured the public's imagination. Because at the end of the day, a nation's story is also told through its achievements and its heroes, right? And late 2024 and early 2025 were just full of these amazing moments of celebration in sports, in the arts, and in science. The energy was just incredible. Vidarbha won a nail-biter of a Ranji Trophy final. The Indian women's team were crowned champions at the Junior Hockey Asia Cup. Pankaj Advani, who is an absolute legend, secured his 28th World Billiards title. And while New Zealand took home the Women's T20 World Cup, the event itself, held in Dubai, just captivated fans everywhere. And beyond the sports world, there was some major recognition in other fields too. This period saw key leadership appointments, like Sanjay Malhotra taking the helm as the 26th governor of the Reserve Bank of India. And on top of that, there were numerous national and international awards celebrating Indian talent in science and the arts. So we end right back where we started, by connecting the dots. You've got a nation building record-breaking bridges, launching a whole new digital identity, testing hypersonic engines, signing global trade deals, and celebrating its champions. The crucial point is what it all adds up to. When you look at all these different headlines together, what story do they tell you about the India of 2025? It's definitely a question worth thinking about. Thanks for watching.